What's up, everybody? You are back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach, you've got Austin. We're hanging out with you guys. Hit that subscribe button down below. 500 subscribers, free jersey coming to one of you lucky viewers. Might even throw out a second one just because we're feeling, grateful for all of the respect that you guys are showing us. Guys, how you living? How you feeling? You doing good this past week?
Shit, Super Bowl week, baby. Come on,
I know. It's a little bit sad. Like, football's about to be over.
I feel like this season flew by. Like, I feel like just last week we were reacting to Isaiah Likely's toe on the back of the end zone for the against the Chiefs. Like, I feel like that just happened this last week.
Dude, that's crazy how all of their games have been like
that
by one point or
like
some crazy. It's unbelievable. But if you did watch the championship game, they did look elite. Like that ball was moving.
They looked like they had the best defense in the playoffs. Like,
and
in all the teams that made it into the playoffs, it looks like their defense is at the highest possible level. Especially with the Bills running all over the Ravens. Like, I thought the Ravens were going to be the legit defense, and nah.
Now, the biggest upset has to be the Lions from Washington.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I wanted to see them all the way.
I'm so torn in this Super Bowl, though, because it's like, I want to be a hater and just not see the Chiefs three-peat because I watch them play and I'm just like, how? It's like the meme from Breaking Bad. Like, they can't keep getting away with this. Like, I just don't understand it. But I also hate Nick Sirianni's face. So I don't want to see him celebrate. I'd rather see him looking like a grumpy cat on the sidelines. So I really don't care who wins. It's just betting purposes. I don't know where to place my money because I also don't want to be angry at the outcome. So, hey, we got wide receivers for everybody here. We're going to go ahead and dive into that. Like I said, subscribe down below. Do us a favor. Do you a favor. Austin, let's get your 15 through 11. Who we got there for you?
All right, let's start it off with a deep cut. Big sleeper at 15. Andrew Armstrong coming out of Arkansas. All right. Then we got Nick Nash, San Jose State, Trey Harris, Ole Miss, Tez Johnson, Oregon, and then Jaden Higgins, Iowa State.
Ooh, you got Jaden Higgins a lot lower than I do.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah. Why do you hate Jaden Higgins? What did he do to you?
I don't hate him. I just like other people better.
Show me on the doll where Jaden Higgins touched you.
It wasn't him.
I do like the Nick Nash shout out. Like, playing some college football 25. I did do a dynasty with San Jose State just because I rock with their jerseys and their color scheme. And Nick Nash, the guy did it for me. It was nice. And so I love that you gave him a shout out there. Andrew Armstrong, talk about him for a second because I don't have him ranked.
Yeah, so basically, if you're looking for like a Walmart version 2.0 of CeeDee Lamb, that's what you're going to get with Andrew Armstrong. He knows how to just find the open space and sit down and get it. He's got great hands. He's not like big on breaking tackles after the catch, but he's going to get you 6 to 7 receptions a game for close to 100 yards. He just eats, and that's what you need in the NFL.
Okay. Walmart version of CeeDee Lamb. Most teams would take that.
Yeah.
And ranking him at 15, it's not like you're saying he's out here going to be a first or second round pick, but I get it. Take a flyer on a guy. I would take a flyer on a Walmart CD.
I think he's being super slept on right now. It's actually baffling to me. I was going to have him higher ranked, but he's not even being shown on people's lists.
Yeah, he is being super I'm sleeping on him. You're making it to where I'm going to have to go back and watch some more tape on this guy now because, like I said, he wasn't really on my radar as far as my rankings go at all.
He doesn't seem to be super elite at any one thing, but he is very much like an in the zones type of receiver. He'll just kind of drop in and catch it. He's got good hands. He's got decent route running. Like he's just not
old Keenan Allen. Like Keenan Allen,
not as big body, but
recently here.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. You give me old Keenan Allen out of the gate. I guess I'll rock with that. All right, so my 15 through 11, I've got Jalen Royals, Utah State, Trey Harris, Ole Miss, Torrey Torrey Horton, Colorado State, Jalen Noel, Iowa State, and Tez Johnson from Oregon.
Reports are it's Knoll, like the Knowles.
Knoll.
Yeah.
Jalen Knoll. Okay, good to know. I appreciate the grammar correction. So Jalen, if you're watching this, it's Knoll for you, buddy. Talking about Jalen Knoll, because his teammate is also higher up on my list here, which to me it's just like Iowa State and TCU just somehow both had great 1-2 punches at wide receiver this year. It's just like, how? Why? But Jalen Knoll, his short area quickness, his route running, he's really, for his size, he's really aggressive at the catch point. I mean, he's 5'11", 200 pounds. So he is kind of, built stocky and the size that you want to see to be able to withstand hits in the NFL. Mm-hmm. My comp that I have for him is kind of Jayden Reed. Like a jack of all trades. You can use him in different fashions in your offense. I think he has a lot of scheme versatility to him, not necessarily in the sense to where he's going to be an outside wide receiver for you. But like I said, you can use him in that Jayden Reed, and I hesitate to say the Deebo Samuel role of you can basically put him anywhere on the field, and he's just going to be a playmaker for you. I mean, as far as any kind of weaknesses looking at him, obviously it's the prototypical size. His long speed is good enough, but it's not elite. He's better in the short area quickness, 10 to 20 yards he's going to get you, but anything deep down the field, like we're not looking at a necessary burner. He's a willing blocker, but obviously with his smaller stature, he's going to get overpowered by bigger DBs and linebackers most of the time. So it's just a matter of how long can he hold on to that. There's not too much downside to him as far as where you're going to end up being able to get him in the draft. So for me, I feel like this is somebody for the Miami Dolphins. Somebody who likes to use players in multiple fashions. Tyreek may or may not be on his way out. You need to start getting younger in the wide receiver room anyways. I would love to see the Dolphins take a chance on this guy in the 3rd or the 4th round, even the 5th round if he falls that far, just because of the different ways that you can plug him into your offense.
The way that he takes hits, he has this like bulldog little guy mentality, like this Napoleon complex on like, I don't care that you're 3 inches and 15 pounds heavier than me. Like, I'm still going to try to power through.
5'11", 200. When we go back and watch our running back episode, a lot of those running back sizes were comparable to what you're seeing here with Jalen Knoll. So that's why like I said, I hesitate to say the Deebo Samuel role. But that's his ceiling to me is Deebo Samuel. I think his floor is Jayden Reed.
I definitely like his game. I don't have him too high on my list, just because what I think he lacks compared to other receivers in the class. But like that mentality that he has is a huge plus for me. His route running, the biggest thing for me is if you're going to be 5'11" and you don't have elite speed, like 4.3, 4.4 speed, it's going to be really, really tough for you. Restrepo is like another example of a guy that's a little bit smaller. But he does have kind of that like top end speed to win over the top, and I want to see that more from a guy at 5'11".
Yep. All right, Coach. 15 through 11 for you. Tell the people.
So number 15, I've got Torrey Horton, and then I have Jalen Knoll at 14, Jalen Royals at 13, Trey Harris at 12, and then Tez Johnson at 11. Now, you had mentioned...
so we have the same bottom 5, just a different order.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned a great player for the Dolphins in Jalen Knoll. I think, honestly, Tez Johnson, he does have that massive speed coming out of Oregon. Like, he's just really, really small. Like, he's smaller than Devonta Smith. He's like 160 pounds soaking wet. But he looks like he's going to be a 4.3, maybe sub 4.2 range. So I'm kind of excited about him. The one that I really want to talk about, though, is Trey Harris. So Trey Harris is the exact opposite of that. He's a little bit of a bigger body. He kind of has the size, but then he also has a lot of like the strong hands. He's very dependable at the point of the catch. Like he is just that possession receiver. And I put a lot of value in that. The reason I have him as low as I do is because I don't think that he's going to have the speed. But I think that at 6'1", 6'1", he's definitely the guy. He can win on a deep ball, but I think it's a lot of like a blown coverage type of situation. And then, I mean, Jackson Dart was literally darting it up for him this season. They
slinging it.
There was like a 3-play thing where Jackson Dart was about to break the record for most completions in a row, and he threw to Trey Harris 3 times in a row to break the record. Like he trusts him to make the catch.
There was a significant difference in play with that offense when Trey Harris was available and when he wasn't this season. And his season was hampered by injuries. But to me, if you went into last season liking Rome Odunze, there's no reason you shouldn't like Trey Harris. Like you said, he's not a burner and doesn't have that top end speed, but he's just very dependable. Like to me, I would think old school comp would be like Anquan Boldin.
And that's what my comp for him and why I like him. I think that he has more speed than Anquan because Anquan couldn't exist in the NFL today. He was just a little bit too slow.
Anquan would have to bulk up and become a tight end.
Exactly. But he's very physical.
No disrespect.
He never gets taken down on like the first hit. Like he's always gaining an extra yard at the first contact. And for a receiver that's trying to get first downs, that's exactly what you want. Like he's going to be a phenomenal number 2 receiver on the outside.
Yeah, I agree. I love Trey Harris. I'm glad that you went ahead and shouted him out.
I definitely think his draft stock could rise whenever the combine hits and
I'm curious to see if he runs at the combine or not.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the fastest, but he's a big enough receiver to.
I think things like the gauntlet could potentially help him, like they did Keon Coleman. Like I think that him showing his like play speed over his 40 speed, I think could help him a lot.
I agree. Yeah. Austin, 10 through 6. Tell the people.
10 through 6. We got I already said 10, so 9 through 5. We got Isaiah Bond from Texas. Xavier Restrepo out of Miami, Xavion Williams out of TCU, and Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State.
Just stop at 6. Don't get 5.
And that's it, boy.
Who was your number 10 again?
So at 10 is Jaden Higgins, Iowa State.
Okay, yeah, I feel like there's a couple people you're a little low on there, especially Egbuka. I feel like, you hate Egbuka also. So Higgins and Egbuka, they've done something to you, and I need to investigate.
I mean, how can you be so high on a receiver who is the number 2 receiver on his team? Emeka Egbuka was the number 2 in Ohio State. Smith is the number 1 guy there.
I mean, yeah, okay. But if you go through the past seasons, all of their elite top end wide receivers were all number 2 at some point on their team. Jeremiah Smith just came in and had a freshman year for the absolute ages.
Yeah.
I love Emeka Egbuka, but yeah, so you hate him a little bit. It's okay. He's done something to you.
Whenever I give my Emeka Egbuka like breakdown, I'm not saying that he's better than Jeremiah Smith. I'm just saying that he's better than everybody else on this list that I have him above, because I have him very high on my list, and it's because of the type of player he is. But we'll wait until we get there. Give us a little bit of insight on Isaiah Bond.
So yeah, Isaiah Bond, the man knows how to bite the knee when running a route, and that's how you get open. All right, it's a very important metric in running a route, and a lot of players don't use it anymore. Hey, this man knows how to just find this open spacing. He can get upfield after the catch. I love the way he catches the ball and sticks his foot and gets upfield. Like he's just very solid running. And just I think he didn't get as much love as he needed to at Texas.
Well, that's because Matthew Golden also came in and kind of dominated the scene a little bit. But if you take Ryan Williams away from that Alabama offense, there was a visual difference in that offense without having Isaiah Bond at Alabama this past season.
100%.
I like Isaiah Bond's game a lot. I think he's an absolute playmaker, and I have him at number 8 on mine. But I mean, to me, I played a lot with putting him a lot higher. It's just the guys I have above him, I do prefer their all-around game more. But I absolutely like, to me, Isaiah Bond is a bigger, slightly slower Xavier Worthy. Like, if you liked Xavier Worthy last year, Isaiah Bond to me kind of fits that mold of just get the ball in his hands.
And honestly, I prefer that. I want a little bit less speed to get a little bit more route running, a little bit more physical in contact, a little bit more durability. I think that Isaiah Bond looks so much like Xavier Worthy. It's just like he's willing to be more physical. He's not just running away from you. He gets so much separation. I want to say he was number 1 in separation in college football this past year, which is crazy. And like he's able to do that without running a 4.2 40. So I'm very excited as to what he's going to do. He's a little bit undersized and he doesn't have the height to win on the outside, like a Keon Coleman would. But in today's NFL, if you're a tactician of a route runner, you don't need that.
Yeah, he plays with physicality.
Yeah, and I mean, this last season, too, he did play more on the outside versus at Alabama the season before in 2023. He played a lot more working in the slot and all over the field. So to me, that's the best way to use him is just move him around. You can't just put him on an island out there and expect him to just ball out. My 10 through 6. Guys, if you're still here with us, we love you. We appreciate you. Subscribe down below for the friends and family. Number 10, I got Jack Beck or Besh from TCU. I've got Savion Williams from TCU at number 9. Isaiah Bond, like I said, number 8 from Texas. Eric Ayomanor from Stanford at number 7. And Jaden Higgins, Iowa State at number 6. Now, like I said, I felt like you were way too low on Jaden Higgins. I love his game. The Senior Bowl absolutely helped him out even more, just showcasing him. He scored the first touchdown in the game for the guys. But I'm going to talk about the guy who scored the last touchdown in the game, Jack Besh from TCU. First off, everybody, I'm sure if you've paid attention to this draft cycle, you know the story with this guy. His brother died in the terrible accident that happened in New Orleans with the truck crashing and the terrorist attack and all that went down there right before the national championship. So his brother dies there. So in the Senior Bowl, he wears his brother's number, which is number 7. He scores the final 7 points. Well, I guess 6, but technically with the field goal, it'd be 7 with 7 seconds left on the clock. Like, all those stars for me, it's just one of those great stories that you love to hear. Also, the guy's a baller. Like, he's got great size and box out ability. He's more kind of like what you were saying there with Trey Harris. He's kind of more of the route runner with the body control. He can work outside or in the slot. And to me, he's more of just a chain mover. Like, he's just reliable. So to me, the comp I had for him was, my Dolphins brain was going on. I had Brian Hartline. Just a dependable wide receiver when you need a play, when you need a catch. He's a guy you want to go to. He doesn't have the great elite top end speed that you're looking for or the acceleration part, but his route running allows him to get that separation, and the way he positions his body honestly reminds me a lot of the way Travis Kelce does working the middle of the field. Just find that open space, make sure you've got the defender behind you, be a sure-handed catcher. And so all of those things wrapped up for me just give you a solid wide receiver. Also, with him coming out of TCU and being a senior, I think he's one of these wide receivers. While I do have guys ranked above him, I think his floor is higher than some of these guys above him, just because I think he's coming in ready and he can be a guy that can make plays at the wide receiver 2 or 3 position for you.
He is very physical. One of my knocks against him is that he doesn't have a lot of production before this year. And I know with TCU, last year he had a lot of competition. I mean, 3 receivers went in the top 3 rounds just from that TCU team. Or no, I'm sorry, that was Washington. What am I thinking? But
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. Now, his freshman season, he started out at LSU, and in 2021 with LSU, he let me make sure my notes are correct. He led the team with 43 receptions for 489 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, leading the team with that stat line, it's like what was going on in 2021, and you go back and look at LSU season, yeah, they kind of struggled there. The second season took a step back in his production, and that's when he transferred to TCU in 2023. And then, so yes, what you're saying here, I feel like this season is when he really hit his stride of being like, not necessarily the guy, because like I have Savion Williams above him. I think he's just overall the more explosive wide receiver. But I think for somebody to come out in his senior year and you go from 200 yards in 2022, 146 in 2023, and then you explode for 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. Like, so I just give me all of that. I just feel like the guy's got that dog in him, and I'll take all the dogs on my team.
He definitely is like, he's there now. Like, he at least had a great season to produce. That was one of my only knocks against him, because everything else about his game, he's not fast.
That's a lot of people's knocks. Is he a one season wonder at TCU in the Big 12?
Yep. So for my 10 through 6, I have Savion Williams at 10, Isaiah Bond at 9, Jack Beck at 8, Jaden Higgins at 7, and then Matthew Golden at 6, which I haven't heard either of you guys say Matthew Golden, so I'm sure that you're both a lot higher on him. Yes, Savion Williams, the reason I have him at 10, he is a 231-pound, 6'3", electric wide receiver with the ball in his hands. But his route running and like his polish on his game going into the draft, I want to see so much more from that. And that's why I don't have him higher on my list. That is actually the exact reason that I do have guys like Jaden Higgins a little bit higher instead. Higgins he's got the size. He doesn't have elite speed like Savion does, but he's smart enough to sit in the zones, to make catches, to do the gritty work. I think he's going to be a number 1 wide receiver on someone's team. I think for the Cowboys, for example, he would be a perfect complement to CeeDee Lamb. Like the absolute ideal pick, because he's going to draw attention. And if CeeDee's drawing everything on third down, 3rd and 8, he's going to be able to get those 8 yards. He's physical. He definitely has a nose for the ball. The only real issue I have with him is that his against the press isn't great for the size that he is, or else I'd have him a little bit higher on my list. And he doesn't have the breakaway speed. He's not able to just run away from a defense, especially at the NFL level. But a lot of those things can be taught. Having the nose for the zone and being smart enough to understand the defense and what they're trying to give you and taking what they're giving you is a very difficult thing to pull off.
And to give a comp for Jaden Higgins, to me, I've got written down Drake London. Like you said, not elite speed, but he's the big body, dependable, consistent guy for you. And I mean, we've seen Drake London's come into the league and has had solid seasons back-to-back years now, and the future looks bright with Michael Penix Jr. there. So I'm with you there. I think Higgins can develop into a number 1 wide receiver. If he comes in as the number 2 guy with a established number 1 like a CeeDee Lamb, yeah, I think he'll thrive in year 1.
So you guys like Higgins over Savion? I definitely like Savion better.
Only the polish. Savion's an athlete, and that's very important to you. For me, route running and hands are like the 2 most important things for a receiver, and Savion doesn't check both boxes.
He's just an all-around athlete. Like
Savion reminds me
go get you them yards, though,
of Quentin Johnson.
Yes, I see that a lot too. But
like, it's not just because more of an athlete. Went to TCU and stuff like that. Like their measurables are very similar. Like you're saying, their traits are very similar when Quentin Johnson was coming out. So Savion's going to go in the first 2 rounds. It's just a matter of, to me, I think he needs to go to the right team in order to, which that's a lot of draft picks, right? Like, that's kind of redundant to say, but for him, it's going to be very dependable on what the scheme is for him.
Well, you see how much they throw him into the Wildcat. Like, just get this man the ball in his hands, and he's going to do something with it. So that's important to have on your team.
All right, breaking into the top 5 people. Subscribe, do it for your friends. 5 through 1, Austin, give it to us.
5 through 1, we got Alec Ayamanor from Stanford. 4, we got Matthew Golden out of Texas. 3, we got Luther Burden out of Missouri, boy. 2 is Travis Hunter out of Colorado. And 1 is Tedda McMillan out of Arizona.
Now, I do want to say I did not rank Travis Hunter in my wide receivers.
I feel like you guys wouldn't, but like I couldn't.
Now, if I did
not rank this athlete,
I'll tell you where I would have put him to start pushing people down when I get to the end. But yeah, I went back and forth with it, but I really think he's going to come in as a corner and play spot duty at wide receiver in certain packages.
Yep.
So that's why I did not rank him in this wide receiver episode. But go ahead, Austin. Who you got for us in the top 5 that you want to highlight?
Definitely Luther Burden, probably my favorite receiver coming out of this draft. Just an all-around beast of a player. I just love his game. I love his athletic ability, his grind. He knows how to get the ball down the field when he has it in his hands. Like this year didn't highlight that as much as it should have. Where he plays, like the division he plays in, also doesn't help him. But he's my favorite receiver coming out of this class. For the Cowboys, I definitely would want them to draft him. If it was him,
Burden is who Kadarius Toney wishes he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you're right.
I think he's a mini Deebo.
Twitchy. He's a yak monster, and he is somebody to me that is scheme versatile. Like even though he sits at 500 or 5'11", 200 and like 205, 210. He still has the ability to play on the outside. And I mean, we saw guys like Odell Beckham Jr. playing on the outside as a number 1 wide receiver being under 6 foot. So like, it's not outside the realm of possibility. I'm Luther Burden. He's absolutely going to be a playmaker at the next level.
He did play about 80 or 90% of his snaps in the slot. And most of his work was less than 10 yards down the field. Now, he has a lot of breakaway plays where he makes people miss, fights through contact. He is the best player with the ball in his hands in this draft, which is exactly why I knew Austin was going to be super high on him, because you prioritize athleticism.
He's a playmaker.
So much. And, I mean, I love him. I have him in my top 5. I have other players higher than him because of what they can do as a receiver. I think that he needs to get the ball in his hands, whereas other people are just going to be so open so often, you're not going to have to scheme for them. I think Luther Burden's a player that you have to scheme for, or you got to
get him going slot early in the game too.
The negatives I have noted down here for Luther Burden is, like, obviously you just kind of mentioned it there, where a lot of his routes aren't very far down the field. Like, his route tree needs to be expanded.
Yes.
A lot of
like, we need to see that you can run deep posts, deep corners. We need to see that you can run these 15-yard comeback routes. Like, that's what we need to see from him at the combine. And also, like, he didn't necessarily play throughout his career against a lot of press. So for a guy his size, I'm interested to see how he reacts in press man that he's going to see half of the time in the NFL versus these NFL corners. Like, agreed. I'm not worried about his playmaking ability once you do get the ball in his hands. I'm just interested to see, like I said, I believe he is scheme versatile, can play on the outside, but I do think he is best suited for just being a monster in the slot for you. All right, my 5 through 1. 5, Xavier Restrepo, Miami. 4, Matthew Golden, Texas. 3, Emeka Ibuka, Ohio State. Luther Burden at 2, and Tet McMillan at number 1. So for like I said, I love Ibuka. That's why I've got him as my number 3 guy. To me, it's not necessarily like you mentioned, he wasn't the number 1 guy on his own team. I don't really care about that because I like his IQ. I like what he brings to the table as the number 2. He was completely okay with a freshman 17-year-old coming in and just taking the spotlight. Like, he was good with it. It doesn't matter. They went and got a natty. He's moving on. Love him. But I'm obviously going to point out my guy, Xavier Restrepo from Miami, the senior wide receiver coming out. Elite hands. Now, I will say one of his knocks against him is he does kind of catch the ball with his body more than you would like to see him do. However, when he does decide to use his hands, he rarely drops any passes for you. He's also mentioned Luther Burden. Xavier's just a yak god. Like, I've literally watched him pull a spin move and blow a guy's knee out just simply trying to cut back for him. Like, I've seen it happen. It's true.
Yeah, I love the grit he plays with.
That's what the grit. Like I said, I want dogs on my team. He's got great release, great body control. Yes, the smaller size is going to limit him, especially to a slot role. And as far as a comp, I mean, pick out any white slot wide receiver over the last 20 years that you want to comp him to, like Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. Like, he's not Cooper Kupp because he doesn't have that size, but to me, it doesn't matter because he's a guy that I think regardless, he's going to come in and just be a playmaker. Like, I do not think it matters what team he gets drafted to. Like you said, I think his grit and his overall just mentality is going to make him succeed in the NFL. I don't want to compare him to Braxton Berrios, like the last small wide receiver that came out of Miami, but he's got a lot of Braxton Berrios to him. He's just
I like that one.
That much better.
Because he's a
Braxton
field
was
stretcher.
A dude for
he's
the
a field
Hurricanes.
stretcher. And
like, we're talking about the most polished wide receiver in Miami Hurricanes history. And like, let's really think about the Miami Hurricanes history with wide receivers. And this guy is the most polished. He could have come out last year, but he saw Cam Ward was coming back. He knew it would help his stock as well to come back another season, get to play with Cam Ward. Cam Ward loved this guy. It was said in the offseason, Cam Ward was working with all of the Hurricanes wide receivers to get a rapport with them. And in that time, he wouldn't ever throw to Xavier Restrepo, to where Xavier had to walk up to him and was like, yo, what, are we good? And he was like, no, you're great. I don't have to worry about you. I need to work with these other guys. Like, so that's a guy not familiar with the program, hasn't played with you or anything, and just watching the tape and knowing about you, like, no, we're good. You do you. Let's go ball. I love Xavier Restrepo. I'm glad that, you know, the Hurricanes got some guys coming out in this draft to, you know, bring their name back a little bit. And wherever he goes, like, I'm rooting for that guy. Just don't go to, like, the AFC East, please God.
Since we were talking about him, do you know why half his face kind of looks like the Joker? Like, what's the story there?
He was in I believe, I want to say it was done at birth, but I also want to say he was in a car accident and it caused more damage. Now, I could be completely wrong on this how it happened, but I do know it's nerve damage, and that's where it will randomly just swell up.
I thought I noticed that, like, it was getting bigger sometimes. Is that something that's going to affect him moving forward?
No, it doesn't affect him. Like, it's not going to affect him or anything like that. Like, he's on a certain regimen where he's able to manage it.
Yeah, he still pulls, Austin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's all I care about. That's all I care about.
He still pulls out here. These bitches
look at him
care.
from this side.
Some of the catches that we're watching in this this video that we have pulled up, it's acrobatic catches.
He's a baller, bro.
Like, he has a nose for where the football's going to be. He's laying on his back and catches the ball. Like, the very first catch on this video is him, like, jumping up and snagging it out of the air. And we know how hard Cam Ward throws the ball. Like, that shit came out like a cannon from 15 yards away, and he's just picks it up. So he's got soft hands. He literally is the best slot receiver in this draft, because I don't think Emeka Ibuka is going to be a slot receiver. I think that he's got enough of a size. Even though he played slot a lot in college, I think he'll be an outside receiver. But that's why, for me, I'll go straight into my top 5. I have Xavier Restrepo also at 5. And then I have Alec Eyamanor at 4. I have Luther Burden at 3. And then I have Emeka Ibuka at 2 and Tet McMillan at 1. So
we're all in on Tet.
Yeah, right. I mean, how can you not be with that size, speed? He has every single thing that you're looking for.
Now, I will say, because like I said, I didn't rank Travis. If I did rank Travis as a wide receiver, just athletic ability alone, he would have been my number 2 guy. So it literally just would have pushed everybody else down. Tet would have stayed number 1. Like, Travis is that dude just as a player on a football field. Mm-hmm. I just didn't rank him as a wide receiver.
So, the things that I wrote down for Emeka are his game knowledge, his ability to find the spots in the zones. He has absolute breakaway speed. He has elite wide receiver size at 6'1", and then the only con that I had for him at all was the 3 games that he missed in 2023. Like, I couldn't find anything in his game that wasn't exactly what you're looking for in your next great receiver. Me, personally, Tet McMillan's too tall. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, and 10 years ago, I would have been right. But today, the best receivers are 6'1", 6'2". They're absolute tacticians at route running. They have the best hands in the NFL, and they have the speed to break it away on you. I mean, you're Justin Jefferson, you're Jamar Chase, like... CeeDee Lamb is an outlier to that at 6'3", but every other top 10 receiver, 6'1", 6'2". Like, that's just the way that the world that we live in now.
So you might call me crazy, but my initial comp for Emeka, just play style, was Ricky Pearsall.
Okay.
Like, Ricky Pearsall, he was a first-round wide receiver, and we saw towards the end of the year when he started having that rapport with Purdy, like, Pearsall
that
balled.
Shit looked
like,
dangerous.
And, like, so it's early to be able to comp him to Ricky Pearsall as far as an NFL player, but Ricky Pearsall, the prospect, I see a lot of what people loved in Ricky as to why you should love Emeka. Like I said, I love Emeka. I had him at number 3. Like you, and I had all the same pros for you as well. Route technician, willing blocker. He has got that short area twitch. And I don't know if you guys saw the clip from the national championship, but Emeka was sitting out there playing and had realized if this corner, this specific guy is on us with no safety help over the top, we can get him with a go route. Not even 3 plays later, Jeremiah Smith hit him with the 60-yard bomb. Like, so Emeka wasn't even the guy that they drew the play up for on that, but he saw it and just said, yo, I don't care who gets it, but a go ball can be had right here. And now, so that to me is that more of that, like I was going back to, with that team player aspect with him.
He's down to win. He's not a diva. He honestly, he looks like an Ohio State / LSU receiver. Like, coming out of college, he looks like
Brian Hartline is doing work.
Yes.
As that wide receivers coach for Ohio State right now. Like, doing work. There was talk about Jeremiah Smith transferring and going into the transfer portal. His response on Twitter was simply a picture of Brian Hartline.
Nice.
Like, I'm not leaving because I see what this guy has done for the last 6 to 7 years with these receivers coming out of Ohio State.
Some of the best in the league. I mean, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. I mean, the list is
Marvin Harrison Jr.
forever.
Just went top 5 for us in this last
Jackson
draft.
Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba was actually my comp for.
That's
Ibuka.
a great comp.
That's who I
like
see
that comp.
over and over
that
again.
Comp. Yeah. I love that comp. I love JSN. So, like, that comp's great there for us. Guys,
still lost to Michigan, but
we did it. Next week, are we doing a tight end episode, or are you guys wanting to give the people another mock draft after the Super Bowl?
I think we do a mock draft after the Super Bowl. And
let's do a post Super Bowl mock draft. Let's do that.
And then we can hit a couple more position groups, and then start doing like 7-round. What the Cowboys are doing, what the Giants are doing, like. in the draft once we get free agency done and like get some. I'm excited for the combine. I mean, I know that we still have the Super Bowl to go, but I'm starting to get pumped for like what these kids are gonna do to show us how athletic they are and how ready they are.
Especially these guys that are rising, like just take that next step to rise up, like Jackson Dart. Like he's been an off-season darling so far. Like just to have him take that next step, I'm pumped for it. People, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. If you're still here with us, we absolutely respect you. Hit that subscribe button down below. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. That bell up in the corner will give you the notifications when an episode drops. Peace out.